back again. So, in this session I will be discussing on how to interpret the output of the top command in detail. So, let me run the top command for you again. So, if you want to come out of the top command, you can press Q and then you come out of the top command. So, let me run it again, top. So, as you can see that it gives a lot of metrics. So, what we will do is we will just look at the CPU line here, the first line, okay, here, sorry, the third line here. So, the CPU line gives you information about the CPU's activities, okay. So, the first field, that is US, that is nothing but the user CPU time. This is the percentage of the CPU time spent running users processes that aren't niced. So, nicing is a way of changing the priority of processes. So, they typically get higher priority when you are running them under nice. Okay. So, you can see the SY, which is the second field. So, the SY field indicates the percentage of CPU time spent running the kernel and the kernel processors, basically the system time. And then the third one is the NI here, which shows the nice time. So, as discussed, if you have user processors that have been niced and they will be given higher priority, so that indicates the nice time. Okay. The next one here is the idle time. Okay, that is the CPU idle time. Now, you can see that the idle time is switching in like 100 or it is almost idle in this case, or 99%. Okay. So, this is one of the metrics that you should want to be high. Okay. So, if the idle time is high, then you know that the CPU is not loaded. It represents the percentage of CPU time that is spent idle. So, if you have a sluggish system, but this number is high, now you know that it is not caused by the CPU load. Okay. It is a very important point. If your server is slow and if your idle time is more, that is 100%, then it means CPU is not the culprit here. Okay. You do not have a high CPU load. So, the next one is the wait, that is the input output waiting. So, if a processor waiting for the input output, then this number is typically going to be high. So, this number represents the percentage of CPU time that is spent waiting for input output. So, this is a particularly valuable metric when you are tracking down the cause of a sluggish system, because if this value is low, you can pretty safely rule out disk input output or network input output as a cause. Okay. So, if your wait times are low, that means you do not have a disk or a network IO issue. Okay. It is again a very important metric. The next one is nothing but the hardware interrupts, that is the percentage of CPU time spent servicing the hardware interrupts. The next one is the software interrupts. So, the percentage of CPU time servicing software interrupts. Then the next one is nothing but the steal time. So, if you are running a lot of virtual machines, then this metric will tell you the percentage of CPU time that was stolen from you for other tasks. Okay. So, when you diagnose a slow system, one of the first values you should look at is the IO wait. So, you can rule out any disk IO. If the IO wait is high, then the next step is to diagnose what is causing the high disk input output, okay, which I will be covering in the next session. If the input output wait is low and the idle percentage is high, then you know that any sluggishness is not because of the CPU resources, and you will have to start troubleshooting elsewhere. This might mean looking for network related problems also, or in the case of a web server or in the case of a SQL query, it might be taking more time. Okay. So, if the IO is low and the idle percentage is high, then the sluggishness is not because of the CPU resources. If the IO wait and idle times are both low, then you will likely see a high user time percentage. Okay. So, if your IO time, that is nothing but this guy, wait is low, as well as the idle times are low, then most of the times your system time will be high. So, you might have to diagnose what is causing the high CPU time. Okay. To summarize, again, so if your IO wait time is low, then you will rule out disk or network issues. Okay. If the IO weight is high, next step is to diagnose what is causing the disk IO. So, that I am going to cover using the IO stat. If the IO wait time is low and the CPU idle percentage is also high, then sluggishness is not because of the CPU resources, then you have to look at network related problems. If IO weight is low and CPU idle time is also low, then you likely see a high user time percentage, that is the percentage US. So, you must have to diagnose the application which is causing the high usage. So, as a temporary fix, you can actually kill that, but as a permanent fix, you might have to diagnose it. Okay. So, in the next session, I will actually tell you how to diagnose a high user time issue. Thank you.